Might wonder. Might wonder. You're an Eminem. 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 I'm milk chocolate. Bite-sized cat chocolate center. I'm milk chocolate. Bite-sized cat chocolate center. The M&M's can only fold you M's. The M&M's can bite-sized candies M's. The M&M's can only fold you M's. The M&M's can.
I'd say that's a wrap.
This podcast is hosted on podhome.fm, the most modern podcast hosting platform. Podhome offers unlimited episodes and podcasts, and unlimited use of Podhome AI, which generates transcripts, clips, chapters, title suggestions, show notes, and much more. And all of that for just $15.99 a month or $185 per year. That's a steal. So go to podhome.fm and start your 30-day trial now. And enjoy the show with Joe.
Live from the Asylum Studios, deep in the bowels of Southwest Texas, it's the Joe Rooz Show. The show where we talk about anything and everything. Where nothing is sacred, nothing is watered down, and nothing is PC.
Alrighty. Hey folks, I am Joe Rooz, and it is great to be with you once again, transmitting live at the Asylum, and of course doing the very best we can to bring you the best quality talk radio we could muster without all the bluster. Welcome to the Joe Rooz Show. All right. I'm telling you, I'm loving the new groove. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to keep it, to be honest with you. Kind of puts me out a little bit, but it's a different vibe. It's mellow, it's relaxed, it's calm. It's also it's kind of cool, actually. So anyway, and for those of you who have been with the show since the very, very beginning, episode number 1, this was the music that we used to use. So there it is. All right, folks, we got a great one for you tonight. You know, fantasy stories, magic, battles, epic worlds. That's what we think really pulls us in. But what if that's actually not why we stay? Tonight, author J.F. Monroe joins us, and she says that the real hook isn't the magic, it's the mess. It's the mess. Flawed people, hard choices, real emotion. So what we're going to do is we're going to test that tonight. Are modern stories getting too soft? Do we still need heroes? Or do we need just relatable ones? Something to think about. But, of course, before we get into that, we're going to take care of some of the housekeeping for tonight. So, folks, if you would, please head over to our website, joerooz.com. That's joerooz.com. And when you get over there, look for that contact section. It's up in there in the right corner of the screen on the little pancake. Open that thing up, open up the web form, and fire us off a message. Let us know whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your mind, any questions, comments, cares, or concerns that you might have. Maybe you have a complaint. At this point, you should never have a complaint, but if you do, that's fine. You can send it to us right there, and we will take care of it appropriately. Maybe you have a suggestion for a guest, or maybe a topic you'd like us to cover on the show. Let us know what you think. We would really love to hear your opinions on these things. All right. Also, if you don't want to use the web form, which I totally get, totally understand that, because if you're anything like me, you cannot stand the stupid CAPTCHA things. Drive you crazy. Absolutely crazy. Can't stand them. The crosswalks, the buses, the bicycles, the motorcycles, and you do it all, and no, try again, yeah. Whatever. That's why we have an email address. So you can always email us directly at info@joerooz.com. That's info@joerooz.com. Now, also, novel idea, you can use the comment section down below on Rumble. And if, for whatever reason, you are still watching on YouTube, you can use that there as well. Not a problem. Probably won't really read what you put on YouTube because I don't care about YouTube, but it's there if you want to use it. All right. So you need to come to Rumble. I've been telling you folks this for a while now. Come to Rumble. It's beautiful here. It is always 72 degrees with white billowy clouds on a beautiful blue sky and the white sand beaches, the beautiful water. It's beautiful here. Come on over. Rumble. It's fine here. It's beautiful. Come on. Stay. All right. All right. I digress. Also, folks, please don't forget that this is a live show, weeknights, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. We also have our Sunday show, our Sunday Bible study show, every Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Time, right here on Rumble. Make sure you come and check it out. Well, it's on YouTube also, but you can come to Rumble. And of course, if you want to check it out on the audio streams, no problem. You can check it out. We have the live audio streaming across our website, of course, also across the modern 2.0 podcast apps like Podhome and Podcast Guru, Fountain.fm, TrueFans.fm. Not only fans, true fans. All right. Plenty of places to catch the live stream on the audio, plenty of opportunities to catch the live stream on the video. Just make use of it. Check it out. All right. Also, very important, algorithm is key. So, like, subscribe, and share the show with your friends, your family, and your followers. That way you are spreading the joy, the love, the mirth of this show with everybody. And you could also use it as a weapon because you can send it to somebody that you want to piss off, like I do, share the show with them, then I keep on popping up in their stream. That's the way it works. Algorithm. My sister blocks me at least once a month. It's just the way it is. So do it. All right. Like, subscribe, and share the show with your friends, your family, and your followers. Help us spread this show around. All right. Also, now, tonight, our connection here is brought to you by Podmatch. What's Podmatch? Tinder for podcasters. That's what it is. All right. Your guest sets up a profile. You set up a profile. The algorithm puts the profiles together, and then you can match or pass. It's really that simple. It's very, very simple. And why is something like Podmatch so important? Because most podcast guests and hosts spend hours researching connections, coordinating interviews, and working on administrative tasks when they really only spend about 10% of their time on what really matters, and that's podcasts. Bringing podcasts, impactful podcasts, to the audience. And what Podmatch does is they make it simple for guests and hosts to reclaim their time through automations and really just very simple, streamlined processes. And by doing that, they're able to focus on creating content that really serves their listeners. So head over to podmatch.com/member/Joe. That's podmatch.com/member/Joe. Yes, that will take you to our show's profile. And if you sign up, you never know. Maybe you'd be a guest on our show, and that would be kind of neat. So check it out, podmatch.com/member/Joe. That's podmatch.com/member/Joe. Should be in the show notes. All right. Well, with all of that said, I think it's about time that we introduce you to our guest. Now, tonight, we have J.F. Monroe, author of the Legacy of the Four trilogy. She builds fantasy worlds, but what makes her interesting is she's not just focused on magic and battles. Her whole angle is that the real story is human relationships, flawed people, tough choices, emotional stakes. All of those things are massive in cinematic worlds. We're going to dig deep into how that works, whether it actually matters or not, or what storytelling says about real life. Welcome, JF, to the show. Great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe. I really appreciate being here today.
I thought for a second there we didn't have audio from you. Your mouth was moving, but there was no sound.
We're all good. We should be all good. So.
Yes, we're okay now. We're fine. So this is great too because we had to reschedule once or twice, I think, and then we changed some things around with the scheduling, and here you are, and it's about time. We've been waiting for this one for a while, and I really do appreciate you being here tonight. So, so you call yourself a lifelong fantasy fan. What was the moment you went from reader to actually writing your own world?
That's a great question. So I started reading from a very early age, whether, we started in school. I think it was the Chronicles of Narnia, which we read in third grade, which I don't necessarily think at that time it was too appropriate to read in third grade. I don't think I got the magnitude of what that book was, what the themes of that book was trying to say.
Right.
But I loved it because there was a lion in it and there were talking animals. And so I was like, all right, this is a great start. Then
Key,
it was Lord of the
lions and
Rings.
talking animals.
Lions, talking animals. You just can't win. It's you can't beat that. And then we moved on to like Lord of the Rings, and I devoured those books. Watched the movies, loved every single second of it. But when I decided to write this particular trilogy, it started about 7 years ago. I was on maternity leave. I was about to have my son. When you're on maternity leave, you get to a point where you're absolutely bedridden.
Mhm.
You can't really do a lot of things. And so I was binge watching a whole lot of TV, a whole lot of movies. And on one particular TV show I was watching, they mentioned the Four Horsemen. Um, and they had them in these like human vessels, and they were talking to like these main characters. And I just found that so intriguing. And I remember thinking to myself back then, um, I haven't seen much material or media on the Four Horsemen. And so that was kind of the beginning of what then spiraled into what is now the Legacy of the Four trilogy. Um, I started to research the Four Horsemen, get a little bit more knowledgeable in them. And believe it or not, the trilogy itself started with a mistake that I made in interpreting them. So
Okay.
what do we do when we want to look at the Four Horsemen, right? We go to the source, which was the book of Revelation. Now, I was not knowledgeable at that time in that material. And so when I picked it up, I was looking through the book and they have like a little paragraph. And I thought that was so intriguing because I thought you'd have like tons and tons of pages
Hmm.
dedicated to these Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And that just wasn't true. It was about a paragraph. And one line that I misread started this trilogy. And it was, I'm going to slaughter it, so I do
Go
apologize.
ahead.
But it was kind of like I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and following close behind him was Hades. And coming from a background in classical mythology, I was like, what is Hades doing in Christian mythos? And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And from that line stemmed these books.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
pretty cool.
you, nah, I'll tell you later. So, no, I'm kidding. No, so I recently went through a series in the Book of Revelation on the Sunday show, and spent quite a bit of time talking about the Four Horsemen.
Yeah,
So it might be interesting for you to check it out if you're interested in that. So
100%.
so awesome. So what were you doing professionally before you became an author? Excuse me.
Um, I've worked since I was about 17 years old, like when I was in college. It started as like at a daycare, and after school, and it just kind of built from there. I did a couple of temp jobs, and then I found anybody who does human resources will tell you they always kind of fall into it. Nobody's looking to do human resources. They just kind of tumble into human resources.
Yeah.
And, as much as I love writing these books, they don't pay the bills. So I do have a full-time job, and it is in human resources. I work for one of those corporate companies. So,
Yeah, my daughter actually works in human resources, and she says the same exact thing. I never planned on this.
yeah,
She has her MBA, and somehow, some way, she's doing personnel management and labor relations. I don't understand that, but you're right. You tend to fall into things that you never really expected. Like when I started my career back in New York, I never expected to work in law enforcement. As a matter of fact, when I started working for New York City, I was like, I'm only doing this for 2 years and I'm out of here. And 20-something years later, there I was. It just happens,
it happens.
and you just roll with it, and you just keep going. And
That's it.
that's great. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You never know how your life path is going to go. It sometimes it just happens, and you got to roll with it and make the best of it. So, was there a point at where you almost didn't pursue writing seriously?
Yeah, you get a ton of intrusive thoughts when you do anything that is considered vulnerable. And so for me to put work out there, like write, and in my case, it was writing, right? So it
Mhm.
could be anything creative, music, whatnot. But for me, it was writing to put anything out there where other people can see it and read it and wonder, like, where did this come from? Including
Right.
like your friends and family. It's a terrifying thing for me. And so 100%, like I was just I always had those intrusive thoughts of like, what are you doing? You know, like what are we really doing here? That was kind of like my little intrusive thought voice. What are we doing here? But I had read a quote from an author recently, back then, of course, that said the first draft of whatever you write is just for you. You're just telling yourself the story. And I thought that's such a cool little mantra for me to carry. Like, I didn't have to publish it, just write it, right? Like, just get it down
Right.
on paper, read it to yourself, see what happens from there. But you never have to, like, nobody knew that I was doing this. There was no publishing house waiting for me, meeting a deadline or anything like that. It was purely for me. And
Right.
so I just kept telling myself that over and over whenever I felt like that imposter syndrome sneak up or anything like that. Um, and it worked. It worked really, really well up until, because when I first started, I thought this was going to be a script. Like I had started to write it kind of like as a script,
Okay.
and then it turned into a book, and then it turned into two books, and then it turned into three books. But it always was for me. I didn't have put any pressure on myself, like, oh, your end game is to publish it. No, just take it step by step and see what happens. And that
Yeah.
was really helpful to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. So who are some of your biggest influences early on?
Oh my gosh, my niece. I don't think I would have hit publish if it wasn't for her. Um, she was the only one, not to say like I love my, let me just set the record straight. I love my family, I love my friends, but my niece was the one that I was like, if I'm going to have anybody read these books and tell me like, don't do this, you're going to be a fool, it was going to be her. Like I was like, you're going to read it and you're going to be completely unbiased and you're going to give it to me straight. Like if I should publish, if you think I should not publish, if you think this is ridiculous and I should keep it to myself, like tell me. And she took on a massive endeavor of reading all three books and saying like you should publish this. So
That's
if I had to
fantastic.
give and she wouldn't let me look, and I trusted her to not make me look like a fool. So like we have a very solid relationship. She wasn't looking to get me in any way, shape, or form. She said publish, and so that was like kind of like the kick
That's
I
great.
needed to
That's
publish.
fantastic. So,
Yeah.
and what about in the literary world? So, some of your biggest influences.
Oh gosh. J.R. Tolkien is really great. Who else do I like? J.K. Rowling is a big one. Like, I love their stories. Like, why they chose to write their stories is what kind of inspired me to like go and write it. Right. Suzanne
I got you.
Collins is another one. They were all a tad bit older when they decided to write their stories, and it took a while to get their stories out there. And I just thought it reminded me like you're not like running out of time. You can literally do this at any age whenever you want to kind of get it out there, you'll get it out there.
Yeah.
And so those were like the ones that I kept in the back of my head of like, all right, come on. J.R. Tolkien, went through a war and spit out Lord of the Rings. And he did all of that wonderful stuff. And
That's
and
true.
J.K. Rowling was, I think I'm gonna mess this up. It was probably like in her 40s when she got Harry Potter published. And I was like, oh my God, okay, there's time. And so it's just like little tidbits I pulled from them as inspiration for me to continue going forward.
Huh. Now I know you already said that you have a regular job and working in HR and you're writing off to the side of that. But how would you describe your day-to-day life as a writer?
So this is an interesting one because I am usually a morning person, always have been by default. Not that I love mornings, my best brain power comes in the morning. However, I do have a job that is like 8 to 5.
Hmm.
And then I am a mom of a wonderful 7-year-old that is ridiculously active and needs time and attention.
Of
I
course.
have two dogs. One is a little handicapped dog, and he needs some time and attention. And I have a husband. And so when I would actually sit down to write was at night. Everybody was kind of mellowed out. The kid was getting tucked into bed, and I had about 4 hours from I'd say like 8, 9, 10, maybe to like 11 to just sit down and try to just get stuff on paper. And sometimes it was really great stuff. And sometimes it was stuff I would delete the next day because I was like, what were you doing? Like, were you drinking when you wrote this? Like, what happened when you did this? And it's okay to do this, but like, let's not make this a habit because time is precious and I need to make sure I get my stuff in. Um, so yeah, so it was like that, like little chunk of time at nighttime when I can kind of settle in and just like lock in and try to get out what I can on paper.
So what's your creative process like?
Process needs to be like a really loose term. Um, but throughout the day, especially when I was in it, because the trilogy's done, right? I'm trying to move on with my life. I love the trilogy. I'm still promoting it. But like when I was in it, like book one, I thought about it all the time. I was having conversations in my head about it. I looked really weird talking out loud to nobody. Like it was just continuous conversations of what I would then hopefully, like I'd scribble them down on post-its. A lot of people have like such wonderful creative processes. I scribbled down on scrap paper, on post-its, on little books, and I would try to make sense of it when I got to that nighttime chunk of time where I'm like, all right,
I
I
see.
scribbled all this down. Now let me make sense of it here. And that was literally it. That was my creative process. There is nothing special about it. It was just like, oh, that sounds cool. Let me not forget it. And then come nighttime, make sure I really didn't forget it and get it down on paper.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because I get moments like that too, where you know, I have little notes written everywhere on everything, napkins. I have notes written on this thing here, you
Yeah.
know, I everywhere, and then somehow, some way, I managed to put it all together. I don't know. It just happens, but and that's building the show stuff, you know. But I actually have an outline for a book that I've been mulling over, and it's been sitting sealed in an envelope in my closet, postmarked, because I mailed it to myself. You know, I just wrote it out, put it in the envelope, mailed it to myself. So I have the postmark date. So this is mine. You can't touch it. You know.
Okay. I love it.
So and it's a book. It's like I guess like a pseudo memoir. It's little anecdotes and funny things that happened to me over the course of my career working in New York, and so I tentatively have it titled as "Why I Wake Up Screaming: My Years Working for New York City."
That's
And
amazing.
and each chapter is a particular point in my career with talking about influential people, and so everything's all like laid out like that, and it's still sitting in there right across
Okay.
from me. I haven't gotten to
That's
it yet, but we'll see.
that's okay.
We shall
I
see.
hope
But
you
that,
do. I encourage you. This is if you need a sign, this is your sign to
yeah,
kind of
yeah, right.
open that envelope and take a peek, see what you got.
One day, one of these days we will. One of these days. So anybody listening or watching that wants to steal the title, you can, because it's sealed in the envelope. I
It's true.
got it first. All right. All right. I know what Solomon said. There's nothing new under the sun, so I get it, but I have it postmarked. Anyway, so a lot of people say that they write character-driven stories. What do you actually do different?
Oh God, I say I write character-driven stories, so I'm part of those people. What I try to do differently, and I don't even think it's different. I've seen it before, but I really held myself to a certain standard when I was writing it. I wasn't going to, in any way, shape, or form, make these characters seem unrelatable. Like, I didn't want there to be a part where you're like, all right, it was good up until this point when they did this massive, ridiculous thing. Like, I wanted to keep them steady throughout the entire trilogy. And that's really risky when you're writing fantasy
Hmm.
because people sometimes pick up a book because they're like, take me out of, real life. I don't want to see these like real life decisions. I don't want to risk characters coming off as like almost like boring, right? Because they're
Sure.
making decisions that you and I would probably make.
Mhm.
But what I tried to balance it with was if I made this world incredibly chaotic, then the decisions that you and I might make do come out a little bit interesting and ridiculous and entertaining because when you're trying to stay human in a fantastical land, there is going to be comedy there. There is going to be wild decisions being made because I put you, Joe, in this world and you see an angel walking by, your decision might not be how if you just saw like a regular human. And so
Of course.
that's how I tried to balance it with like ridiculously relatable characters that you can see yourself in, I can see myself in. Maybe not through the whole way, through the whole journey, but in different snippets of them.
Right.
A lot of the fantasy that I read nowadays, I find it a little difficult to relate to some of the characters because they're so like overpowered and they're so like, they're the best at everything. And I struggle. Like I like keeping it a little bit. messier, where it's like, oh, that wasn't really a great decision, but it was human. Like
Yeah,
I could see somebody making that decision.
I get you. Yeah, and you also focus heavily on emotional realism. So how do you avoid that becoming cliche or overdramatic?
I try to set the emotions when things get quiet in the book. So, like, I remember reading, and it was great, and I give kudos to the author for doing it. But, like, they were having an intense battle scene in the book I was reading, and there was just like a pause between the two main characters across the battlefield. And I'm like, no, normally you're in a battle, like you would be killed. Stop, like, what are you doing? And they would stare at each other. And I was like, I respect this author. I will never put a scene like this in my book. Like, you're not going to get an emotional, scene unless it's like a death or an injury on a
Sure.
battlefield. You're going to get it in the quiet moments, like in the after the battle, then you're going to get all the emotional resonance that comes through. Or before the battle, when they're prepping for it, I want you to feel it. Like I want you to think to yourself right before the battle, oh my God, like these people might not make it. Like I'm worried about everybody because there's main characters, yes, but I didn't want you to think that that meant that they were safe. Like they
Oh, I
all
get you.
had a chance to have these emotional moments. So
Oh, that makes a hell of a lot of sense, to be honest with you.
yeah.
I don't think I could have explained it any better than that. Now, you also talk about flawed heroes. So, what's the line between flawed and unlikable?
Yeah, that's a good line. I love that line though, because again, when I was writing the story, I even wanted the bad guys to be likable in some way. I really wanted to mess with people because I love turning things on their head. So,
And that's a great point. I like that. I like when even the villain in the whole thing is someone that you can relate to and someone you can say,
yes,
yeah, I can understand why he's that way or she's that way. I can get
right,
it. I'd want to do that to somebody myself one day. Just because
exactly.
yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, no, please. But I like just like you, I love doing stuff like that. And so it was important to me that when I had certain characters making certain decisions, what I had defined flawed for myself is they did it with the best intentions, and you knew that.
Right.
So like you knew why Theo was making his decision when in the outside you're like, this is a really, really bad decision, dude. Like it's a bad decision. Don't do it. But you have the context of why he's making this decision. And so with that context, it continues to make him likable and not like, oh my God, like why would why would you do this? Came out of nowhere. It was ridiculous, and now I'm not like your biggest fan or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
and I was very meticulous with this. I hope, fingers crossed. I haven't heard anybody find anything yet. So, but I was very, very meticulous with like everything that I did or everything the character said or did had some type of ripple within the trilogy. So whether that was a consequence later and it kind of brought it up again, like nothing ever went unanswered. That
I
was
got you.
really important to me. Was to make sure like when you close this thing out, people aren't they might be asking questions, but in a good way, not in a wait a second, like what about this or you dropped the ball on this or something.
Now, fantasy, most fantasy anyway, at least what's come out to me anyway more recently, can get pretty detached from reality. Uh, why do you think people still connect to that?
So, two reasons I think people still connect. Two reasons I know I connect. It's either the characters, because, like, with fantasy, you could go completely wild with the world. Your world is open because you're creating it. So you can literally do whatever you want. You could have dragons here, you could have vampires over here, werewolves over here, make
Right.
up the rules for them. It could be anything. But if you put a character in that world that the reader can attach themselves to, you're
Hmm.
gold. You're fine. You're going to be okay. And make them relatable. The other thing is people, you look at the world today, some people use reading as a very heavy escape. They just need a break from their everyday lives. And so they want to read about dragons and, goblins and vampires and romance. And they just want to kind of be taken out of reality for a little while. And so there are books that do both, that they will just are completely insane. I don't know if you've heard of it. I have not finished it, but this God, it's like Carl's. It's something with Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a very new book that came out, and it's completely wild. It's insane, but people are eating it up because the character is us, and we're going through this wild journey. And so it's really what books can give you is like an outlet to escape or an outlet to just place yourself somewhere where you can just kind of hang out for a little while.
That's interesting. I'm gonna check that book out because I remember when I was a kid, I used to playing Dungeons and Dragons. You know, I gotta
I
check
will
out some of
get
the books.
you. So I respect the author and the name of that book. I will get you the book's name, proper name after this show.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. I'd appreciate it. Now you also talk about moral ambiguity. Do you think that modern storytelling is losing its clear sense of good and evil?
All right, I'm gonna pick a real answer here. I'm not gonna give you a cheap answer and say like it depends. No,
Go for
um,
it.
I'm gonna say yeah. Like I do feel like modern storytelling is losing that a little bit. Sometimes it surprises me, and they'll build out a villain or something like that, or make a main character make wildly inappropriate decisions, and I'm like, yes, good, okay, we're alive, we're here. But lately, in a lot of the stuff that I've watched, a lot of storytelling likes to kind of like promote it almost
Hmm.
too much in a way that I'm like, I'm not interested in. Like when I think moral ambiguity, I want to question myself when I read the stuff or when I watch the TV. Like I want to say like, am I really rooting for this person? Like, is this happening? And this makes it like, is this, like, what does that say about me? Like I want to go there. A lot of people lately are into the morally gray villain that, everybody loves and falls head over heels for, and you have the main characters choosing the villain side over the good guy side. It's fun. I'm here for it, but I really do like that gray that makes you question like they're not really good. Like they're pretty bad. You shouldn't want this, but there's something that is just there's just like an attraction to that type of moral ambiguity. And I don't see it a lot in the way I would like to portray it. I don't know if I explained that right, but that's
Sounded good.
thank you. I appreciate that. That's the best I got. So
No, that's fine though. Actually, yeah, I say that tongue in cheek. But I understand that it's a tough question to answer really because there's just so many different ways you can go with it. But
many.
you did good. I liked it. It was good. So let's talk about your book a little bit because we kind of skirted the issue a little bit here or there. So why don't you walk us through Legacy of the Four? What is the core premise?
Yeah, so Legacy of the Four is if you had to classify it, it's like an adult fantasy romance trilogy that blends Greek mythology with the legend of the Four Horsemen. And it's set in a world where humans and angels and demons exist under this fragile peace treaty of sorts. And it's held together by the Four Horsemen. So I kind of flip it. They're not the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They are these legendary guardians that are tasked with protecting humanity from destruction,
Interesting.
whatever that might be. And one of my main characters, Shade Mercer, she's kind of like forced back into the world that she tried to leave behind when her childhood best friend Theo returns after 10 years. Only now he's this vessel for the Horseman death. So he is the leader of the Four Horsemen. He's carrying a ridiculous amount of power, and he takes her with him on this journey in the first book at least, to reunite the other horsemen and stop this like looming threat. And Shade's dog tags along for the ride because I feel like you should throw an animal in a book if you can.
Just random.
It's strange, just have an animal in a book, and that's
It always
got me.
works.
Yeah,
It always works. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now a lot of your writing you emphasize emotional connection. What's one moment in the trilogy where that really hits?
There's a lot of examples in the trilogy because I'm huge on found family too, and so I have a lot of moments with the vessels of the Four Horsemen where they could be really emotional. But I'll say for this one, Probably just the reunion between the two main characters, which is Shade and Theo. I had given them context of being like really great friends beforehand. And so them reuniting after 10 years, I wanted to be very careful with that. I think we've all had some experience with a friend or family member that we kind of fall out of,
Okay.
touch with, for a really long time. It doesn't have to be 10 years, but just for a really long time. And then you kind of connect. And I wanted to be very respectful of that. Like I wanted it to feel very real, um, not over the top, just kind of like, okay, there he is. He's back, but he's different. And so I loved going through like the emotional journey between those two because what she remembered from childhood, from like when they were younger, he's different now. And
Mhm.
so she has to either get on board with that, and he also has to get on board with a couple of things because he's the vessel for the horseman death. So he is carrying like a lot of burden and responsibilities.
All right. Now I know we already talked about flawed heroes and flawed villains, but uh, in regard to the flawed heroes and villains, it's been a long day.
Yeah, I get
Uh,
you.
who's the most controversial character you've written?
Sarah. Her name is Sarah. She is my angel queen, and she is my Sauron type character. She starts off okay, and then she's just nasty. And she's very controversial because she is one of those characters where there is no moral ambiguity. There is
Mhm.
no, oh, I get why she's doing this. No, she is an absolute monster. And it goes back to me just loving to explore the spectrum of heroes and villains, right? So you got your flawed heroes, you have your morally gray anti-heroes that everybody loves. You have the heroes, your Thanos type villains, where you're like, I kind of get what he's saying, but he's not doing it the right way. And then you have your Sauron type villains, not the show Sauron, the pure movie Lord of the Rings Sauron,
Mhm.
um, where they just want power and they are just ridiculously nasty and really evil and they do a lot of really bad things. So I would say that she's my powerhouse villain, but she is pretty controversial. She does a
That's
lot of really not good things.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say is the hardest part of building this world from scratch, or what was, I
Not
should say, not is?
totally, that's fine. Not comparing it to other worlds that you've read. So like when I first started to build this story, I was building the characters. I was building, relationships. Anything that wasn't world building, I did first because world building, and this is being completely transparent, was my weakest spot. I was just
Okay.
worried very much about world building. And so what you'll see in the book is that the world is not so different from like our world outside. It runs pretty much the same way. The only liberties that I took, obviously, was you have territories. And so you have the human territories, the demon territories, and the angel territories, and they're all called different things. And I thought, that's awesome, JF. You're doing a great, just, I'm not going to call myself JF. My name is Jenna, but that's awesome, Jenna. You're doing a really great job. Like I had to really pep talk myself because some of these fantasy authors go all out with world building. They're amazing. And I knew not touching that. Like I can't do it. I don't want to do it. It's not what excites me when I wrote the book. And so I kept it pretty like alternate earth type vibe of like a
Okay.
lot of things are still normal, like what you'd see your day to day, except there's territories where there's angels and demons next door. So,
To me, it maybe because I don't write like that, but just to be able to create a whole world, a whole universe, characters, that to me is it's a huge talent, and it's something that you really need to cherish. The fact that you can do that, it's an amazing thing. Um, When you develop your characters, is there anybody that like people that you know? Do you base them off of that?
I try not to. It's going to inherently happen. It's just going to happen because when you're building characters, you're not thinking about like, oh, I'm going to base Theo off of like my husband, or I'm going to base, Sarah off of this girl that bullied me in elementary school, or something like that. Like you start to create these characters off of like vibes and feelings and how
Okay.
they mesh with other characters, and then you start to pick up some stuff. Like you'll be walking and you'll hear something, or you'll see someone and you're like, oh, I really like her look. And then like, maybe that really nice pantsuit green pantsuit will show up on one of my characters or something. You don't think about it, it just kind of like
It
happens,
just
is
happens.
what is the easiest way to sum that up.
Okay, I got you. Now, if somebody's never read fantasy before, why should they start with your series?
Oh, I would encourage it, actually. That's the one time that I'd be like, no, you should start with this book, because fantasy can get very, very intricate, not just with world building, even though that is probably like the number one intricacy of fantasy, is like how deep can you get into the world building? And some people love that. They live for that. Hundreds of pages I have read on world building. It's not my cup of tea. It's not something that I can really like. I struggle with kind of like, you got to just get me in the story. Like get me in the story and then you can build the world for hundreds of pages, but get me in the story. I would encourage you to, I'm almost like a starter fantasy. Like if
Okay.
you need a starter fantasy, this is the book, because it's not going to overwhelm you with world building. It is going to start immediately and you're in the story. That's it. The
Okay.
first book is like 327 pages, I think. That's a baby fantasy right there. Like that's a baby book for fantasy. And I don't think they go beyond really 400 pages throughout the trilogy. Like I think the next one goes up a little bit more, and the third one caps out at like 400 pages. And like I said, like if you're not like too into fantasy, but you're just kind of looking to dip a toe, this is the one to do it. It's easy. It's an easier journey to understand and take in.
You know, some of the most, I guess, most powerful stories come from human relationships. Why would you say that that's more important than plot?
You got to give people something to connect with. And so when you're writing fantasy, a lot of your plot is going to be fantastical, right? You're going to build it out of like these wild, chaotic battles and magic and power. And though it's awesome and cool, and I can't wait to read it, it's not relatable to me. It doesn't grip me like the character that is going through it.
Hmm.
Like I don't, I didn't I didn't read the Magicians, books because I cared about the magical school. I read the Magician books because I loved Quentin and Elliot and Margot and all the characters that were flawed and real to me. Like I cared about them. I didn't care what I wanted them to make it out of whatever they were going through. So I do care about the plot, and the plot does matter. But if you catch me with those characters, you got me. You got me through the whole book. Like I'm good to.
Well, that's the whole. I guess that's the benefit of a character-driven story as opposed to a world-building story.
Yes, yes. And again, that's my opinion. Like some people might just eat up world building stories. They might. But I really do feel like, and especially now, like you got to connect to the characters or else you're going to lose me a little bit. Like I want to be rooting for these characters. If I don't like them, it's going to make the book really difficult to get.
Yeah. Now, do you think that modern culture avoids vulnerability in characters?
I think modern culture avoids vulnerability in men.
Agreed.
And that was a really big theme in my books, was to show people that everybody has vulnerabilities, including men. That is something that I will say and I will stick to. I do think that in a lot of things that I watch today, it's women power. Like, they have to be independent and strong, and I'm with it. I'm totally with it.
Mhm.
But like, it's okay also to lean on, someone, or to have a guy lean on someone, or to have a friendship between a guy and a girl. And so those are themes that I actually do explore in the trilogy of like, you have individuals, including males, um, that are okay to like communicate and talk about stuff, all different types of stuff. And I thought it was really cool to kind of
Yeah, I agree with you.
explore.
I agree. What about the big screen? Any adaptations in mind for the big screen?
What with the trilogy?
Yeah,
I mean, one can dream, right? Like you always have those dreams. So I'm not gonna say, I expect anything, but I do think that this would kind of be awesome on the big screen. I know that when I write, I picture it in my head and
sure.
it's awesome. Like I am living a movie every day when I was writing these books. So yeah, I do think that it would be awesome to adapt it to the big screen. It can be done. Whether or not that's going to happen, it's going to stay a dream until I hear otherwise. So
Yeah, I get you. So what's your take then on where storytelling is headed nowadays? Better or worse?
there's so much out there now. Like fantasy alone as a genre is so oversaturated. Everybody is writing. And so it's not so much where storytelling is going, it's how you pick what is good for you versus what is just like out there. Like, because now with the ability to self publish, especially through Amazon, anybody can do it. And they should be able to do it. But it gives you a lot more to just you got to be selective in what you pick and try to find what you like. Um, but it's only going to get bigger. Like every time I look, there's new books out. Literary agents are closing their queues because they are getting completely inundated with, manuscripts and
Mm.
reviews and things like that. It's a wild time to tell stories, and I think that if we keep going in the direction we're going, it's going to be really good. But it's going to be a lot. Like it's going to be a little overwhelming too because there's a lot of stuff out there right now.
Yeah. Well, you just look at what's on Amazon. Just how many millions of books. It's ridiculous.
It's a
You know.
lot.
But I mean, I don't mean ridiculous in a bad sense. I mean ridiculous in the
No,
fact of just the quantity that's out there. I mean,
yeah,
it's you're right. It's totally saturated. Totally saturated.
it's
So, what's one belief about writing or storytelling that you hold that most people would disagree with?
I think anybody can tell a story. And I do think that a lot of people would disagree with that. I'm not saying a good story, but I do think that people have the capability of telling a story
Hmm.
and that nobody should put them down or silence them from telling their story if they want to get it out there. I've seen a lot of stuff, particularly on social media. Social media, it's a double-edged sword because most of the time it's awesome and you got a lot of support there.
Hmm.
Then you get some people that are like, how do you have this book out? Why do you have this book out to other people? And I just think that, or like, not everyone can be an author. And I'm like, listen, I get where you're coming from. Like, why don't put people down like that? Like, if they want to, first of all, they can become an author because Amazon KDP makes it very, very easy for people to become authors. Just FYI. So I understand what you're saying in the long term, but no, anybody can be an author. And I do think anybody can tell a story. Now, whether that's a good story, whether that's a bad story, that is up to them. That is up to their audience. But anybody can tell a story, and I wouldn't ever put somebody down for trying to be vulnerable in that space. Like if that is your creative, if that is the creativity that you have chosen, good for you. And I think that you should go for it. And, have a niece out there that will tell you if you're about to make a fool of yourself or not. Like that's the
Yeah.
only thing I recommend. Let somebody read it before you press publish. Or if you got thick skin and you're just like, I'm untouchable, let's go, then just go for it. Go for it.
Do you think talent is natural, or do you think it's something that can be taught and trained?
It's a really good question. I do think to an extent talent is pretty natural, but there are certain talents that can be trained. Like, you can become a better writer as you continue forward. Like, maybe you publish your first book and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? But then you keep going, you can get better at writing. I can't speak for music. I know I cannot be taught music anymore. Don't teach me music. It's not going to happen. But
I
does that
agree.
mean that somebody else can't? I mean,
Yeah.
could be
I think
wrong.
there comes to a certain point where there are certain things that you just get too old to try to develop and learn.
Exactly. And maybe that's a mental thing. Like, maybe if I really had that motivation or fortitude to be like, I want to learn the guitar and I'm going to hire someone to teach me the guitar, maybe I could do it. So I do think it's a little bit mental. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you. Like, I feel like once I hit like a certain age, I'm just like, do I want to though? I don't know. I don't know if that's for me anymore. And then, the brain kind of refuses it and thinks of it as like, nah, you're not going to learn the guitar because you're just not going to.
Yeah, I say the same thing with language, and because where I live is very much Spanish speaking, and I don't speak a lick of Spanish, and so when I first moved here, I walked around with my Google Translate, everything, and just
Nice.
try to do it that way. I understand what I call work Spanish, like if I'm in the environment and they're talking about something going on at the job, yeah, I'll pick up what it is. That's work Spanish. But to speak it outside of that I'm lost. So, and I say that to say this. Everybody asks me, you've been here for 10 years. How come you don't speak the language yet? Well, because I think that you get to be a certain age and your brain, like you said, just says, no,
Exactly.
it's not for you. It's not.
Right. It's over. Like, you're not going to go through it. Like, don't even bother. That's it. You're done.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, JF, this has been fantastic. I can't believe the hour's gone already. This is like ridiculous. It just flew right by.
I agree. It doesn't feel like it's
No, it
anywhere.
didn't
So that's cool.
at all. So before we totally wrap this thing up, who is someone that you respect right now, and what are they doing that inspires you?
You're asking really ridiculously good questions. Are
I get like that sometimes.
we talking like celebrity or can this be anybody?
Anybody, someone that you respect.
Would it be cliche if I said myself? Would it be egotistical if I said myself?
No, no, not at all.
If I turned around and was like, you know what? I'm really feeling good right now. I got 3 books out there. If you asked me like 2-3 years ago, I would have laughed in your face about publishing books. And like, I'm kind of on a high right now, and I'm feeling pretty
Great.
good about it.
That's good.
Other than that, I would say, like, I'm always proud of my family. My niece is a big part of my life. We grew up like sisters, which is why I'm always mentioning her. And she's doing really great things in like social work. And she's rocking it out there. And she's 26 years old. She could be doing tons of other things, and she's just like, nope, I'm going to work. I'm going to get my money. I'm going to get my degrees. I'm going to do what I got to do. And I do think like that mindset is something we need a lot more. And so it's just like, it's awesome. She inspires me every day, which sounds very cheesy, but I said it.
No,
and I
that
have
doesn't sound
regret.
cheesy at all. I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing
Thanks.
cheesy about that. And yes, you
Um,
can give yourself some self-praise and self-love and self-affirmations and all that great self stuff. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
And
I
I
like
learned a
that.
lot with this stuff. It was really good. I learned to give myself some grace. I learned a lot of things along the way, but it's been a journey for me as well, and it's been a really, really fun one. So
Oh, that's fantastic. That is great. And you know what? I'll tell you, I really enjoyed this conversation tonight. This was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to more from you. So, where can folks go to find out more about you and about your work?
okay, so I am on Amazon. You can find the Legacy of the Four trilogy there. All 3 books are there. They're on Kindle Unlimited for free. They are on Audible. The first 2 are on Audible. The third is coming. I have been behind on my little edits, so I apologize for that. You can find me on Instagram at jf.monroe, and you can find me on TikTok if you ever want to see ridiculously awkward videos of me. Also at jf.monroe. Please come by. I try to answer every single comment or tag that I possibly can, and that's where you'll find me.
Outstanding, outstanding. All right, well, I'm going to put you backstage if you want to hang out for a few minutes while I wrap up the rest of the show here, and then I'll touch base with you there, and we'll finish up the last minute stuff. All right.
You got it.
All right, JF Monroe. Check out her book, plural, the series. Check it out. All right. I'll see you backstage in a second. All right. JF Monroe, folks. Make sure you check out her stuff. It's really good. All right. Shout outs, of course, to our producing team, executive producers Wayne Rankin, Rosanna Rankin, Carolina Jimenez, Marissa Lee, and of course, the inestimable Anonymous Angela, and our newest addition to the list, John Seeley. So thank you, folks, for really stepping up and helping us out. This is, putting together shows like this, you might think it's simple. It's really not, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of participation. And what these folks do is they basically step up to the plate, and they donate their time, their talent, and their treasure. And we call that the 3 T's as part of our value for value system. So what's that? It's very simple. If you are receiving anything of value from the content that we're putting out, all we're asking is that you return that value in the form of a donation. And that donation can be, like I said, the 3 T's, your time, your talent, your treasure. These folks donate their time, Anonymous Angela, Marissa Lee, Wayne Rankin. They all donate their time, their talents, and their treasures. And we appreciate that. Now, if you want to find out more about what you can do to help support the show, please head over to our website. Just go over to joerooz.com and look for the support page, joerooz.com/support, and you'll find out all the different ways that you can support the show, whether it's a one-time donation or a recurring monthly donation or signing up for our producer tiers. You can do all of those great things right there on the website, and we hope that you are able to do that. If you have the means and you're able to do it, please do. If you don't, that's fine. You can always donate your time and your talent. So plenty of ways you can help us out. So please take a look at it, and hopefully we'll bring you on board here with us as part of our team. All right. Well, with that, folks, just how about some final thoughts here? My final thoughts and ruminations. All right. Tonight wasn't really about fantasy. It was really about people. All right. Because at the end of the day, nobody connects to perfection. Nobody really connects to a flawless hero who always gets it right. We connect to struggle. We connect with doubt. We connect with failure. We connect with growth because we see ourselves in those things. And maybe that's the bigger takeaway tonight. Not just for storytelling, but for life. If you're trying to build something, whether it's a brand, a business, or a message, the question really isn't how perfect is it? It's how real is it? And that's my final thought on this here tonight. All right, folks, with that said, I really do appreciate you guys being here with us tonight. We thank JF Monroe for joining us. This was fantastic, and I hope you guys got something out of this and hope you really enjoyed the conversation. All right, don't forget to head over to the website, joerooz.com. Leave us a message. Let us know what you're thinking, questions, comments, cares, concerns. Send it on all over to us, info@joerooz.com as well. All right, folks, make Texas independent again. Go podcasting. Keep a steady stride. And more importantly, keep talking. We will see you next time. Good night, folks.